Hi everyone, welcome to the June 15th Agent Sandbox meeting. I'm your host today, Janet, and we have a few announcements and discussion topic. And the first announcement is that we have a pre-release for 0.5.0. I put a link here. So basically, this release introduced a few big changes. The first big change is that we made an V1 Beta 1 API upgrade, and we also dropped the V1 Alpha 1 API. So as a result, that needs to be the old V1 Alpha 1 object needs to be migrated. So we are working on a migration tool to make the upgrade easier. But if folks want to test out the new beta API, you can just install it in a new cluster, and the upgrade support is coming. And we also put a bunch of other fixes and features in this release, and that's a lot. So I'm not going to just talk about each of them, but folks can take a look and test it out. And then following up on that, we have one discussion topic from Andre. Andre, do you need to present?
No, I think it's more like open topic, so we don't need to spend a lot of time for this. Just want to hear feedback from the community. Um, yeah, hi everyone. So I guess I just I've been kind of looking for the Agent Sandbox roadmap and looking around use cases that people have within this project. I was kind of like wondering if any of you have any requests or user stories when they want to use the CRD for MCP tool sandboxing. Specifically, I would imagine, many people orchestrate multiple agents and they try to isolate the environment. But sometimes when, like tool require more compute or kind of more fine-grained access, you might want to separate agent runtime from the tool execution runtime. And I guess my question is like, did you ever, see that people actually use, your APIs for such use cases? Would love to learn more about it.
So, hmm. So I think I'm not sure if this exactly is what you are talking about, but Justin had an example for um, creating the sandbox tools and then keep the sandbox alive over multiple tool calls.
Yeah, I think so. I guess basically, so this example showcase how we can reuse the same sandbox across multiple tools, right? But we don't
Yeah.
really. Okay, okay. Um, yeah, because again, the majority of use cases I see where people run actual agents, but not really tool execution. And especially because right now, I guess MCP goes towards serverless more, and kind of they support the tasks recently, which basically allow users to run in other agents as tools, and tools become more kind of long-lived instances. I guess like my assumption that the sandboxing might be really useful to separate those tools to the separate entities. Um, yeah, but not sure if you get a chance to speak about it here on this community. Um,
High-end.
Um, Hey Andre, are you trying to achieve like a two authorization? So like one agent can only access a certain tool provided by a MCP server, or you're trying to achieve something else?
yeah, so for our use cases, like we have agents running on like within the Jupyter environment. alongside the Jupyter environment, and sometimes they want to execute some heavy lift tools. Like it could be, Spark queries, could be anything else, or like which require access to compute. And we're kind of like looking for how we can isolate this tool calling to the separate sandboxes, um, which means like, tools can be run separately from where we run agents and where we, like have agent memory and all other things related to agent runtime. Um, so yeah, we just like looking, we were just trying to see if we have any kind of use cases when people use the sandboxing for tool execution. That does make sense.
Yeah, makes sense. We also have a different example for running MCP in the server in Agent Sandbox. So, in terms of real use case, Aditya has a hand.
Janet, Andrew, like what you're describing is a very typical use case of sandboxes. Andrew, so help me understand. Are you looking for like a code example? What exactly are you looking for?
Yeah, specifically like, like some real world example, maybe like, item in the roadmap, how we can, like ensure, like we can leverage this API to not only run agents, but also tool execution. So I can definitely, take a look at an example that Janet linked to. Maybe it will be helpful for us to, like to investigate. Yeah, but like just try to understand if we have any particular constraints compared to, just a normal edge runtime.
Mama,
Yeah.
mama,
Uh,
mama.
yeah,
I need to mute.
Oh, yeah.
Ryan Zhang. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, Andre, just to answer the latest thing that you said, right? There are absolutely no constraints. Like the scenario that you're talking about should just work out of the box. What we can follow up over Slack after the meeting is, just we can work on an example if that helps. There is nothing architecturally that will prevent you from executing on your use case.
Yeah, I think that will be really helpful. I guess, like just maybe we should take a look at those examples that Janet also linked, and
Sure.
specifically how people, run this with tools. I think that will be really helpful. Yeah, I see that you also have your hands up.
Stale hand. I'm just putting it down.
Oh,
Yeah, in the
Me too.
MCP server example, Andrew, you can see it basically like develops a custom MCP server, which you can run inside the sandbox. And the example shows that you can create your own tools and basically call it either via your own client. This example shows this by just creating your own client, but if you want to, you can also use the Python or Go client SDK to interact with it. Yeah, so let me know if this example is helpful for that.
yeah, I think it's definitely, and I guess like, all the communication happening via STDAO, right? Via like the, the host application and the server where we run the sandbox, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess, I mean, definitely like we will take a look on this. I guess we kind of like try to understand more in terms of the use cases for, sandboxing, because, we're talking about agent runtime, but if we talk about any separation from tool execution and the agent orchestration, I think that I would love to learn more on this from you guys. If you have any other, use cases and real world examples, how people really orchestrate those systems. Especially when, tools require access to compute and other resources which we don't want to allocate to the agent runtimes.
Yep. For those, so we try to put examples as what we see people use it. But then we also have some examples of people contributing to it or how they're using it. So if you are interested, we can collaborate on an example for your use case.
Yeah, makes sense. Let us definitely first take a look on those that we have, and we will we'll keep you posted for any other updates here. Thank you.
Yeah, sounds good. And I also want to give folks a quick update on the remaining items we have for the beta API graduation. Basically, we want to finish all the migration work. And so we now have the main work is that we are going to introduce a conversion webhook. There's a one-time operation. So basically, when you upgrade, the conversion webhook can help convert the alpha object into beta in the etcd. And then we use a separate job for touching all the existing object to make sure that they are restored as in etcd as a beta object. So that should be pretty seamless for all users. But then there's also a need for changing the existing YAML configs that still requires user action. But I hope with the help of AI, that would be easier and not manual. And we also have some site update that we need to do before we really release beta API. So that's all the remaining item for beta. And does anyone have anything else they want to discuss for the meeting today? And then there's one more thing that I want to mention. So basically in Slack, we mentioned this potential blocker for alpha to beta release. So we realized that the Sandbox template is still using the pod template. So we're thinking about what's the best UX. Should the Sandbox template just reference a sandbox because it now creates a sandbox directly? But eventually we find it's probably easier to just keep it as is, and then we can, because there are some fields that we think only make sense in the sandbox, but not in the sandbox template. For example, the shutdown policy or the operating mode for suspend and resume. So eventually we decided that we're going to just use an inline blueprint struct that's going to make implementation easier, and then also doesn't change the user experience. So the YAML will be the same. And the Go SDK might have some impact, but it's minimal. So that's all the update on the beta. But we hope to ship beta soon with the migration tool. And given that that's all of the topic, I think we can end the meeting today earlier. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.